Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about 5 things you need to know to get started in Obsidian. Obsidian is a very powerful note-taking application, but it's a lot different than something like OneNote or Word. In this video, we're going to cover the basics that you need to know to really start dialing into the power that Obsidian can give you. So we're going to start off. I'll expand our basic overview here. The first thing we're going to talk about is creating a page or note, depending on what you want to call it. If you hover over this icon right here, you'll have the option to create a new note. That is one way to do so, but if I press enter here and tab over to get a new thing so it doesn't mess up my numbering here, I hit open bracket, I'm going to start listing the notes that I have. And so I can go and simply type a new note and press enter. And if I control click on that, since I'm in a specific mode right now, you'll see it brings me over to this new note. I can start typing right here, and that will put that in that new note. You'll notice down here this, and that is really important. That is what we call backlinks. And that, in my opinion, is what gives Obsidian all the power that it has. So down here at the bottom, you'll see that I have links to 2022-02-17, Fascinator intro, video ideas. And if I go over to this new note page, you'll see I have a backlink to Obsidian video, because that is where I put that link. I can go and I can add anything to that. But these backlinks are ultimately what allow you to really take this all and connect things together. And that's what we're going to look at a little bit further here in the graph. We're going to skip on to the graph because it makes more sense and flow to do it that way. So if I click on graph, I'm going to bring this up, and you're going to see, for example, here's new note and here's Obsidian video. That's the page we were just in. So Obsidian video is connected to new note, video ideas, Fascinator intro, and 2022-02-17. That's all the pages those are connected to. But if you notice, if I go to this 2022-02-17, it's also connected to Fascinator intro directly. Your video ideas is also connected back to 2022-02-13. So, and that's connected to task. So you can see here, like, it's possible that Obsidian video is separated by a few degrees, but it could be connected to task in some way. This is really helpful if you're doing research or you're taking notes on particular fields of study or something like that, and you're trying to, find connections that maybe you didn't realize before, or you're just trying to keep track of connections. In my opinion, these backlinks are where this starts to shine. But I use a similar program at work, LogSec, which we talked about in the previous video. But if I come here, let's say I'm gonna collaborate with somebody on YouTube. Say I know somebody named Nate, and I'm going to try to collaborate with them on YouTube. And so I type the double brackets open, and I type in Nate, I go to the end, I hit a space, and then I'll add him as a page, and then I can say collab on YouTube video about Arch Linux. And so now that I've done that, if I go to Nate's page here, you'll see that I'm connecting him to new note, and you'll see that I have a YouTube video about Arch Linux. If I go to the YouTube video about Arch Linux, I could also go say collab with Nate, and then I could start going in and providing the information. Detail 1, detail 2, AUR. By the way, so I could go and I could do that, and I could have all this information here, and then when I came back to Nate's page over here, I'll have a new entry where I just added that information there. And so that's how they work. That's how ultimately these backlinks are able to connect all of this information together. It's really useful, it's really powerful, and it gives you so much flexibility in how you store information. And our fourth point here, since we skipped over 3, let's talk about page modes. So by default, we're here in the edit mode, and this just means that we can type things, we can add things to it, etc. So if I come over here and I click the classes, we'll enter reading mode. And so at this point, I cannot change anything. I can't delete anything. I can't add anything. This is all going to display exactly how it is based on the markdown and other things that you've added into it. So if I click this back, I'll get back to it. One important note is that if I actually go into reading mode and then I switch over to a different tab, this will stay in reading mode, and it will stay this way until I actually switch back. And when I switch back, it'll again, it'll stay in edit mode until I switch back again. So it's just important that when you go into reading mode or edit mode, either one, that is that for that pane. You can create, I could open up a second pane and have reading mode over here and edit mode over here. So then I could have two different setups. Ultimately, you want to make sure you know which mode you're in. The last thing is styling. So we can do some of the typical things like bold with 2 asterisks, italics with 1 asterisk. We can also do links. And so if you just type in a URL and just with the HTTPS or HTTP in this case, it'll just link just like that. You can actually get it to display a bit more friendly by doing a single open bracket and then the word you're going to want it to link and then a single close bracket and then parentheses to actually show or actually add the URL that you want to go to. So this is nice sometimes when you're, if you have maybe a list of stuff that you're trying to go through and you just don't want a bunch of URLs, or, if you're copying something to a YouTube video, if you have a bunch of just random list of YouTube videos, it may be better to actually put in the title or something so you know what the YouTube video is about. That's all fine, but that's all kind of boring. You can do other things like strike through, but let's talk about the more interesting stuff. So when I go down here, you'll notice I have tables. You'll notice that. And you'll notice I have a diagram here. I have to switch over to reading mode for this table to show up properly, but now this shows up just like a table. There actually is a plugin in the community to do advanced tables to let you do math. I believe right now this table will just simply display as a table and can't really do any kind of functions or anything like that. This diagram down here is done in Mermaid. And so if I click this right here, you'll see Mermaid, and then it's going to tell you the type of diagram. And then the syntax here is was copied. I pulled this directly from the Obsidian site. I had not actually seen this before, but I thought this was pretty cool. And there are several different types of charts or diagrams you can do. So just kind of interesting that you can do this and attach this in here, and and have something quite different than the rest of your markdown notes. Math is another one. So down here, you start off $$, then you can set this up again, and then you end it with $$. So again, this is something where you'd have to really see how useful this is going to be. I would think that this would be excellent. Like if you were looking at statistics or something like that, then that would be something where you could easily do that. But it's just a nice little thing that they have that, a lot of other programs, you have a tougher time doing something like that in. Additionally, you can do code blocks. So here, you can, if you just do a single backtick, you can do inline, or if you do 3 backticks and then the language name and then your code and then 3 backticks to end, you can do multiple lines and you can do syntax highlighting for certain languages. I don't know which all ones are supported, but it seems like a lot of the common ones are. The important thing to note on this code block here, you can't have that connected to a bullet point. And so that's another thing too. If you just push dash and then a space, that will actually create a bullet point for you. So if I click enter on and more, I'll have a bullet point here by default because it knows, and I can tab in and out or shift tab to go back out. But if I backspace twice and I no longer have a bullet, I can hit dash and then space, and then I get a bullet back, and I can do that. But numbered lists are the same way. If you're going to do a numbered list, you just do 1 period space. 1 period space, and then you enter your text, and then 2, and then you can do it again, and then you can tab in and you can get a different thing, and then tab in there. So it doesn't quite go into the 1 and then A and all that. So it's not as friendly that way, but it does at least let you have subsets of points and let you number your list. As we continue on, one thing that's kind of odd about this code block, if I hit the reading mode again, you'll notice it still has it, but it no longer has the language that the code is in. I just find that a little odd. I would expect it to say Python or something somewhere up here. So next are iframes. And so certain websites will allow you to put a view of their site in an iframe. And so here, this is just a copy directly from the YouTube embed. If you hit share on a video, you can click embed, and then you can pull this code and just copy that right into Obsidian, and it will, of course, display the video just like you're seeing in my example here. And so if I wanted to start this video, I could just click play, or I could click over here to watch on YouTube. There are a lot of other ways you can style things. There are a lot of plugins that you can use to add ways to style things, but those are the things that are going to be most important to most people. And so those are the things I wanted to cover in this video. If you're interested in potentially doing a second video about Obsidian, I would be glad to do so. There are a lot of settings to go into. I started to try to go into them in this video, and it just ended up getting too long, and I ended up getting into too much detail on some of that. So I would be glad to do another video, but I don't want to. I wanted to try to hit the highlights and the important parts that most people were going to get to. That's going to cover, for most people, being able to add a page, know about backlinks, and kind of how to style their text. That's the important parts for them, and knowing, that reading and edit mode are a thing. One other bonus tip, yes, is if I come over here to my pages list, I can hold Control and click, and that's how I open the second pane. And you have to Control click for example, if I'm in reading mode here, if I want to go to this new note, or if I'm in edit mode here and I want to go to this new note, I have to Control click to get there. But if I'm in just normal reading mode, if I've turned off my edit mode, then I can just click it and I can go directly there. So, little bonus tip there at the end. But yeah, if you're looking for more information about Obsidian and you'd like me to make another video, feel free to mention it in the comments below, and I can definitely do that. Thank you, everyone, and you have a great day.